Okay, so for those of you who were curious about like my experience interviewing for the special education paraprofessional position, I will do a general overview of like the things that they asked me about, as well as a couple of specific questions that they asked me. But if you would like, I can also make a future video that is more in depth about specific questions that you should use or be prepared for when you are interviewing for a paraprofessional position, or specifically a special education paraprofessional position. For those of you who don't know what a paraprofessional is, it is like a teaching assistant or instructional aide. For me, I am a special education paraprofessional. It is technically considered a teaching position. However, you are not like running a classroom. You are assisting the regular teacher. You don't need a teaching certification in order to be a paraprofessional, and I can go into more detail about this in a future video if you are interested, so please be sure to let me know. Now, on to my personal experience with my interview for the special education paraprofessional position, because this is my first year working as a paraprofessional and my first year working in special education. I just thought that I would give you guys kind of a general idea of how it went. So first off, they did ask me a lot about my experience dealing with children who have special needs, and I did make sure to let them know that I have pretty extensive experience dealing with young adults who have autism. For those of you who don't know, I have previously worked in a group home that was for autistic men. These men that were in this group home were a little bit more severe. Most of them, I think there was only one out of the 4 men that lived there that were non-speaking or non-verbal. I like to use non-speaking because I feel like that makes more sense than saying non-verbal, because a lot of quote-unquote non-verbal autistic people tend to be able to make sounds, so it gets a little confusing. They can make sounds, but they can't necessarily speak a language in a way that is always understandable. So I let them know about my experience with people who are autistic. I also let them know I have a stepson who is autistic. Even though my ex-husband and I are no longer married, Jacob is still my stepson. I still care for him. So I just wanted to lay that out there. They also asked me about how I would handle certain situations. So the specific ones that they asked me about was more about like how I would handle if I had a disagreement with a teacher. And I did let them know that for the most part, I'm able to just kind of let things roll off my back. I think part of that is because of my experience in the medical field. I can let things go fairly easily. I do have an outlet, a way to express myself so that I'm not letting things build up and end up in like a huge rage if I'm very frustrated. And I let them know, that unless the teacher is doing something that is completely wrong, like if they are being abusive to a student, or they are being inappropriate with a student, or being mean to a student, like aggressive in some way that is actually making the situation worse and not making it better, I tend to be non-confrontational about it. If it gets to the level where I feel like it's abusive or hurting the child in some way, whether that is physically, emotionally, whatever, I will definitely make sure that somebody knows what is going on, an administrator, someone who is a higher up that would be able to better deal with the situation. And obviously, I think part of that also comes with me working in the medical field, knowing kind of what is okay and what's not. I mean, not that people who haven't worked in the medical field know what's wrong and what's not, but it is a difficult profession to deal with or work with children who are special needs. I already know that, especially with autistic children. Sometimes they aren't able to let you know what it is that they actually need, or what the issue is, or what is wrong, because they may not know how to express themselves. And so that's like the gist of what they asked me. Was a lot about like my experience working with autistic people, as well as how I would handle certain situations. They did ask me a couple of questions about my education, my current education, working on my bachelor's degree in neuroscience, because they were very interested in like what that entails and what I could do with that in the future. And so I did let them know that as well. And for the most part, like, I didn't really know how it went after the interview because it was hard to read their faces. It was hard to understand like if they were liking what I was saying, if they were a fan of me, so to speak, like if they thought that I would do good in this job. And literally like maybe 2 hours, 3 tops after my interview, they called me and offered me the position. And they said that I did fantastic. And when I went in to do my new hire paperwork, I had mentioned this in that video. If you didn't watch it, then I'll tell you now. The HR person did say that I am like the first person she's interviewed for a special education paraprofessional job who she felt could actually do the job. And apparently they're having like a big staffing issue with paraprofessionals in our district. But she was very happy to have me on board and working in the special education department. For those of you who don't know, I have sort of been involved in special education throughout my entire life. I have a relative, or had, he passed away now, a relative through marriage who had Down syndrome. I have worked with people who have cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, different types of conditions that are developmentally disabled type of conditions I have worked with. And so I think that that kind of prepares me to deal with a lot of the things that I may come into contact with throughout my tenure as a special education paraprofessional. I do not know at this point how long I will be working as a special education paraprofessional, but for the minimum, I will be working throughout the 2022 to 2023 school year. So from August until June, August 2022 to June 2023, at least for that period of time, I will be working as a special education paraprofessional unless something crazy happens, which I don't anticipate. But I just wanted to let you guys know kind of the things that we talked about. Like I said, if you want something more in detail about like specific questions that may be asked in a paraprofessional job interview, then please let me know and I would be more than happy to film something for you. I look forward to sharing this new venture in my life with you guys. I'm super excited about it and I hope that I do well. I'm a little bit nervous, obviously, because it is a new position. It's a whole entirely different new setting for me, but I'm really looking forward to it. Now, if only I could figure out like the dress code, because the previous video to this, I talked about like the dress code that the school gave me and how it's very confusing. So if you guys are interested in more special education paraprofessional videos, stay tuned to my channel. I will be sharing a lot as I go through this new journey with you guys. With that being said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and I will talk to you guys next time.